Hi, my name is Vincenzo D'Arista. I'm a cook, a chef. I've been cooking since I was a young child in Italy, where I was born and raised. I love cooking. I've owned 2 restaurants. I wanted to make this Crespelle alla Fiorentina. I used to do it as a special in my restaurant, and here we go. We're gonna need flour, so a cup of flour, an egg, some milk, and a little bit of salt. Here we go. So, as I said, a cup of flour. Here we are. So there's 1 cup of flour, and I can start putting it in here in a container. 1 egg, a cup of milk, and then about a half a cup of water. You can add that last. So I'm going to use a whisk. So I start incorporating the egg, and I slowly add the milk, a little bit at a time. Make sure where I'm stirring, everything is mixed together, and slowly the rest of the flour, you let the rest of the flour fall inside. As it falls in, it becomes thicker, and you can add a little bit of milk. If you're using your electric beater, then you would use it, slow. Right now, you would be setting it at the slowest probably, and then maybe once it's all mixed nicely together, you can go to medium speed, but you'd have to use slow speed in the beginning. Okay, here we go. So this is mixed pretty nicely. So the thing is, we want this to be fairly liquid. This is pretty liquid. I like to make it a little bit more liquid than this, and so I say half a cup of water, and here's half a cup of water, but I may or may not add that whole amount. I just want it to be a certain thickness, so I'll add some water until it has a thickness which I would say maybe like a very light pancake batter. Let's see. Yeah, you see how it pours really fast. That's more or less how liquid you want it. You want this to spread in the pan evenly and as thin as possible. So if you make it too thick, it'll take too long for it to spread out in the pan. I'm going to add a pinch of salt. Even if these were sweet, I would add a pinch of salt and some sugar. Okay, so here we are with our nice pan, and I am going to wipe it with some olive oil and turn on the flame. So I'm going to have maybe a medium flame, maybe for a minute, and then I'm going to turn it lower in the beginning. Because if the pan is too hot, when you pour the batter, the heat will cook it in place and it won't spread out nicely. So actually, I'm going to turn it really low now. There we go. This mix spent about 45 minutes in the fridge. You have to let it sit in the fridge for about 45 minutes or longer. You can also just do it overnight. So here we go. Hold on, let me just get here's a large spoon, and I'm gonna maybe pour, let's see if 3 of these spoons should do it. And I'm just gonna try and, you see the pan is not hot, so this moves around nicely. I'm trying to cover the whole bottom of the pan with it. There you go. At this point, I can raise the flame a little bit. It's still gonna be a low flame. It's not even gonna be medium, but maybe not as low as I had it initially. And right now, there's nothing to do, just look at it. As you can see, this is starting to cook already. It's not liquid anymore. You see the little bubbles are appearing. Obviously, this will be faster or slower depending on the heat you're using. And as you gain experience, you can also go a little bit quicker with the flame. But initially, I suggest for you to use a low flame, because there's nothing. It's just it'll just take you longer. There's nothing that can go wrong with a low flame. On the other hand, with a too high of a flame, you obviously risk of burning it. So as you can tell, this looks like it wants to detach from the pan, right? You can check with this and you can see it does. So if you have worked in a kitchen all your life and your fingers don't burn anymore, you can just go like that with your hands. This side is sticking a little bit, so let's let this side cook a little bit more until it moves around the pan nicely, and then we can also flip it just without using any utensils. We want both sides to get a nice golden color. Maybe the side which we decide is going to be the external side, we want that to get a little bit darker, almost like dark honey color. It's starting to get a nice color. I will use this as the outside, so I will cook this a little bit better. Wait for that side to get a little bit darker, then we'll be done. All right, let's get a plate. All right, we have 1 large pot, whole milk. Put it on the top, turn on the flame, medium high. So I use, for this recipe, I'm going to use 2 quarts or 2 liters. Okay, so we have the flame now pretty high. We want this to get very warm. We want it to get hot. What we don't want is for it to boil. The one thing you cannot do is make it boil. That's the only mistake you can make. So if you're confident, you can keep the flame up. If you're a little bit less confident, at some point you can turn it down, stir a little bit. When you'll see smoke coming out, you can maybe let that smoke increase for about a minute, and then you can turn it off. So as you can see, all around the perimeter of the pan, you start seeing small bubbles. That's a sign already that the milk is very warm. There's more and more bubbles forming. This milk is probably very hot. I'm going to turn the flame down a little bit. There's a little bit of smoke coming up, and that's what you want. Turn the flame off. You see the smoke now? As soon as you turn the flame off, you'll see the steam coming up. That's when you want to add the vinegar. So vinegar, preferably you will use this distilled white vinegar, because obviously it's colorless and you don't want your ricotta to look red like red wine vinegar. So this is perfect. There we go. 1, 2, 3. Let's see if that's enough. Otherwise, I'll add a little bit more. No, it should be enough. You see how it's all curding and separating? There you go. So you can just let it sit there a couple of minutes. And now we can get our finely meshed sieve. Very slowly, because otherwise you risk the cheese going through the sieve. So try and do this slowly as you can. And here we go. So most of this we can discard. And then what I usually do, I let this sit here on the counter for maybe 15-20 minutes until it cools off. after which I put it in the fridge. And this will be the final result. This will be a ricotta like. So now, last but not least, the spinach. Medium to low flame, like that. There's a pan, and there's some extra virgin olive oil. There you go. The bottom of the pan should be nicely covered. That's about it. And as the oil warms up, I will get some fresh garlic, crush it with the back of your hand. That will peel the skin off. Actually, you can also keep the peel in there. So another way of doing it, we say we cook the garlic with the shirt on, wearing its shirt, in camicia. Because basically we just crack it so the oil gets to penetrate. But we leave the skin on it so that it can't burn. Because there's nothing, burnt garlic is terrible, the taste is just terrible. But if the skin is on it, it will never burn. It'll cook and it'll release the flavors, but it will never burn. All right, and I can start adding the leaves just over it. So the garlic will still keep on cooking under the spinach. I'll lower the flame a little bit. Now this is probably going to take 3-4 minutes. I'm not even touching it now, because I want these to wither. Is that a word? And the garlic still to stay there at the very bottom to infuse the oil. So there you go. So for now I'm just going to let it be. While the spinach is cooking, I'm going to put some of this Parmigiano Reggiano in this grater. And I'm going to grate up some fresh Parmigiano. It's always best to grate your own. Okay, you see how they withered? So now we can stir them around a little bit. Very nice. Turn the flame down a little bit. Pinch of salt. 2 pinches of salt. We can take the garlic out. Oh, this garlic is starting to peel off. I don't want it to find it in anybody's plate. I'm going to take it out now. I'll let this keep on cooking in a lower flame. And this is already a recipe on its own. So baby spinach, cook like this. You cook it a little bit more. And take the garlic out. Add some Parmesan cheese to die for. So good. This is probably going to take 20 minutes in total. I also like to chop these up in this case because we're going to have to roll them in our crespelle. So I want them to be as small as possible. So here's probably time to take the garlic out. Taste it, see if there's enough salt. Okay, that's good enough. That's probably good enough. While it's still warm, we can mix it in the ricotta because it'll mix better while it's warm. ricotta, spinach, Parmesan cheese, Parmigiano. Okay, here. Fresh pepper. So this tastes a little bit bland, which it does. I'll add the rest of my Parmesan, and that should be good enough. Yeah, that looks good to me. Okay, now is the time to fill our crespelle. I'll start by lighting the oven, maybe about 400 Fahrenheit. Okay. Okay, you lay the crespelle at the darker side at the bottom. And we put some of the filling. As such. And then you roll them nice and nice. There's one. And there's the second one. Provolone, which I'm going to put on the top. So I would say I put it in for about 15 minutes at 400, after which, if it looks like it got a nice color at the top, we're done. If not, we can finish it off for a few minutes on broil. Okay, so now let's go in the oven. In she goes. So zucca is the Italian word for squash. Zucchini literally means little squash. So as long as these are small, they qualify as zucchini. The moment they start getting bigger, we stop calling them zucchini in Italy, we call it zucca. And the flavor changes completely. We use it for different purposes. When you go into the supermarket and they have zucchini this big, they won't be as good as little, tender, small zucchini. So here we go. Well, we take the tips off, like you normally would. And a little bit more. And then you slice them, squeeze them. It's important that the knife is sharp, but also, as a general rule, you want to use the smallest knife you can for that job. Lively flame, maybe not all the way up, but almost there. And again, I'll cover the bottom of the pan with olive oil. Okay, I'm gonna wait for the oil to get warm, maybe a few minutes, and you hear it sizzling. That's the right temperature. Try and separate the zucchini as you put them in there. This is starting to look a little bit too lively, the flame. At this point, I can turn the flame pretty low, like this. That's almost as low as it goes. Put it back on there. And remember, I'm trying not even to move them at all. Total is probably about 15 minutes. So maybe now we have another 5-6 minutes to go until we turn them around. They're starting to get some color. The cheese is starting to melt. So that's good. This looks like it's ready. You see how they're sticking together like in one piece? So that's what I wanted to get to. So now we can try and do the other side. So, yeah, that's good. That size, that's a nice color. Now we'll just turn it around a little bit and try and cook the other side. And I might turn that flame down a little bit. Oh, nice. That looks pretty nice. And so, there we go, before we serve it. Parmesan and some fresh parsley. Let's just wait another minute for the zucchini to get done. Ok, Crespelle alla fiorentina, Vincenzo's version, con le zucchine.